Kai Kara-France versus Cody Garbrandt takes place this weekend in the flyweight division, and I can't wait for this flyweight bout. Of course, you've got the already flyweight contender Kai Kara-France, number 6 in the flyweight division, defending his spot against a newcomer to the division, Cody Garbrandt, who's had some problems in his career recently at the bantamweight division. Of course, he snapped back with that big win against Rafael Assunção, but the majority of his fights recently have been losses. That's just the reality of the situation. He's failed to reignite his career at bantamweight several times over, and now he's looking to the flyweight division to try and get a change of scenery and hopefully, in his own mind, I'm sure, beat some of the smaller guys that you don't consider as good as the bantamweights, but that might backfire, and we're going to talk about that in today's video, and I'm also going to give my prediction on how I see this fight going down to a T. I'm not just saying who I believe is going to win, I'm going to say who I believe is going to win, exactly how it's going to go in this video as well. I'm looking forward to this matchup, though, in the flyweight division. This is great for flyweight, by the way. Before we even get into the fight itself, I love that this is happening because we all know if Cody Garbrandt stayed in the bantamweight division, he'd probably be taking on an up-and-coming contender, and he wouldn't have a good chance in winning because they're on the come-up, he's on the come-down, and it would be a crossing of paths, and maybe we would lose Cody Garbrandt forever, and he would never return, and then lose again in the bantamweight division, and he wouldn't have this option to move down to flyweight. But as of right now, he's number 7 at bantamweight, so he still has some power and significance in the bantamweight division, and he's moving down to flyweight, and I love that he's doing it because, let's just face it, Kai Kara-France would not be on the main card of a pay-per-view without Cody Garbrandt moving down to flyweight, and this will build the flyweight division even more. I kind of secretly hope that Cody Garbrandt wins this one against Kai Kara-France, and I really hope that he gets a KO in style as well and steals the show at UFC 269, because having Garbrandt in the flyweight division while he's still young in his career, he's still got his prime ahead of him, he can still fight for another few years at peak performance levels if he does right his wrongs with his technique, which we'll talk about as this video goes on. But Cody Garbrandt is going to inject a bunch of excitement in the flyweight division. I don't believe he's going to get a title shot if he beats Kai Kara-France. I think beating number 6 in the world when you aren't even ranked in that division does not warrant a title shot. I even mentioned this in my full card prediction video. I said this could be a title elimination bout in the flyweight division, and that's sort of been the narrative by a lot of media members recently, like, could this be a title elimination bout? If Cody Garbrandt wins, can he get a title shot in the flyweight division? The answer is no. Figueiredo should never have got a title shot. Askar Askarov has earned the title shot in the flyweight division, and if it's not him, it's Alejandro Pantoja, but still, Askar Askarov beat Alejandro Pantoja, but of course, he missed weight for his last fight, I believe, so I understand them not wanting to give him a title shot. But they don't hold those rules for everyone in every division. They can give people title shots that missed weight if they want to, but the UFC have decided they don't want to give it to Askar Askarov. To be fair, he's not the biggest name, so they went with the Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo trilogy. I believe they're probably going to do Askarov versus Pantoja too, to decide who is next in line for the title shot in the flyweight division. And if they do that, the winner of this one is not getting a title shot. If Cody Garbrandt wins here, or if Kai Kara-France wins, I guess they can get the winner of Alex Perez versus Matt Schnell. If it's Alex Perez, that would maybe make sense, or maybe they can get the loser of Brandon Moreno versus Davison Figueiredo, but I believe that Brandon Moreno is going to win, and I don't see Davison Figueiredo staying in the flyweight division if he loses again and fighting another flyweight contender. I can see him moving up or retiring for good, because let's not forget, I believe he's 33 years of age. So I can see the winner of this one taking on Alex Perez, who I believe is on the same card this weekend on the prelims as well. So if Perez does beat Matt Schnell this weekend, he's probably going to stay at number 4. The winner of this one's going to take number 5 in the flyweight division, especially if it's Cody Garbrandt, and they'll fight each other for another title shot at flyweight. But let's talk about the matchup in general. I think this is very dangerous for Cody Garbrandt. It's very dangerous for Kai Kara-France. He could go out there and just be completely outsized, outmuscled, outmanned by Cody Garbrandt, get ragdolled non-stop, and get KO'd at some point as well, maybe. But I think the speed difference at flyweight is so large, and a lot of these bantamweight top fighters don't realise that until they're down there. These flyweights are really, really quick, and I know the bantamweights are fast as well, but I think there's a lot of overlooking when it comes to the flyweight division, but they might be some of the best skilled fighters in the entire sport. I truly believe the bantamweight division is the best skilled division in the entirety of the UFC. The featherweight is close by. The flyweights are right there as well, but they don't get the credit because they don't have the big names. Hopefully that'll change soon. We've got Jake Hadley coming up, Amir Albazi coming up, Manel Kape coming up, Mohamed Makayev coming up as well. We got a bunch of contenders: Amir Albazi, David Dvorak, a bunch of new talent coming into the flyweight division, Clayton Rodriguez as well. I think it will soon become, and I'll say this right now, hot take, the flyweight division will become the best division in the UFC in about 4 years. Truly believe that. I think there's just so much talent there. They're unbelievably talented in that division, up and down it. So I think that will eventually happen once we get rid of the Tim Elliott's out of the rankings. But once Tim Elliott is out of those rankings, we're all good to go for the best division in the UFC maybe. But Cody Garbrandt, Kai Kara-France. I believe Kai Kara-France is going to beat him by KO. Speed difference is going to be too much, and I think Cody Garbrandt, who isn't the most technical fighter for the bantamweight division, but he was gifted with godlike power in his hands, and that saved him for a long time in his career. I know he beat Dominic Cruz, and people always ask this question. What happened to the Cody Garbrandt that fought Dominic Cruz? He stopped fighting Dominic Cruz. I truly believe, and he's left Team Alpha Male now to go train elsewhere. He was training with Mark Henry for a bit, but he still does coaching at Team Alpha Male and teaches some classes, so he's still intertwined with Team Alpha Male. But I truly believe that Team Alpha Male didn't make Cody Garbrandt the best fighter in the world. They made Cody Garbrandt a fighter who could beat Dominic Cruz. And he was the perfect style to beat Dominic Cruz, and you saw that on the night, but I do want to mention this as well. Dominic Cruz had tendonitis in both feet in that fight. And his footwork was all over the place. He wasn't himself. He also got emotional at some points in the fight and tried to brawl with Cody Garbrandt instead of moving around. His tendonitis was pretty bad in his feet, and you can even see it as you watch the fight. His footwork is nowhere near as fast, nowhere near as dynamic, and he looks a bit like a shell of himself, and it actually makes me wonder, maybe that's why he even called out the number 7 guy in the division in Cody Garbrandt, because he wanted a bit of a, while I'm injured, I'll take this fight and stay active, and I'll win this one, and then I'll get back to fighting top contenders once I'm healthy and fit and ready to go. And it backfired on him, but I do want to mention this as well. Oh, I'm going to get so much stick for this. It wasn't a great performance by Cody Garbrandt. And that's one of my takes that I've had for a long time, and people typically disagree with it. People say it's like it's the best performance ever in history. Oh my god, but that doesn't really add up to how Cody Garbrandt dealt with Dominic Cruz. Outside of the split flash knockdowns that he got on Dominic Cruz outlanded him 88-68 on significant strikes. He outlanded him on significant strikes at range in every single round of that fight with tendonitis. I don't think it was that great of a performance, regardless of how much Cody Garbrandt was body popping and doing the robot and making Dominic Cruz miss. Outside of the flash knockdowns, which there were 2 of them, by the way, officially, 2 knockdowns officially, and one other one where Cruz was somewhat off balance that won him the round as well. Outside of those moments, Dominic Cruz was basically winning the rounds. I know he's dancing around and he's moving his head, but I still feel like Cody Garbrandt was a little bit overrated after that bout, and people always call me out for always picking against Cody Garbrandt, and I'm going to do it again. I'm picking Kai Kara-France by KO in the first round. I think Garbrandt ain't used to the speed, and he's going to get clipped on the chin by a more technical fighter who's also got KO power, as we saw in his last fight against Rodrigo Bontorin. But I've always thought Cody Garbrandt was extremely overrated. I picked against him when he fought Dillashaw the first time, picked against him when he fought Dillashaw the second time. I picked against him in basically every single fight he's had recently, even in the Raoni Barcelos fight, not the Raoni Barcelos fight, the Rafael Assunção fight where he turned back the clock. I picked against him there, but that didn't work out for me. He got the KO there, but even then, before that, he wasn't doing great against Rafael Assunção before that KO at the end of the second round, and it was a beautiful KO at the end of the second round. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but still, Rafael Assunção, I believe, outlanded Garbrandt in the first round on significant strikes. He did. In the second round, he got outlanded, but it was still a close round back and forth. I feel like Cody Garbrandt, if it does get heated and get into a firefight in the flyweight division, first of all, I don't think he's going to carry his power down with him. He might carry some speed still, but I don't think he's going to carry his power down with him to the flyweight division. I don't think he's going to get the takedowns either. And I can just see Kai Kara-France just being way more technical and just beating Garbrandt to the punch by being quicker at flyweight and landing that KO blow. I picked against Garbrandt when it came to the Rob Font fight. That was silly of me at the time, but now Rob Font completely destroyed him. Of course, lost to Aldo moving forward, but still, Rob Font completely destroyed Cody Garbrandt like he was nothing out there, and it was just such an example to me of bad boxing, bad head movement, bad technique. And it was exposed against Rob Font. He got outlanded 21-13 in the first round, 27-8, 32-15, 51-12. in the 4th round, 45-15, and one fucking judge had the audacity to score 2 rounds to Garbrandt in that fight, which was ridiculous, by the way. I'm still not over that shit. But it was a good fight between him and Rob Font. He showed that he can still take somewhat of a lot of damage. But moving down to flyweight, you're draining yourself, you're depleting yourself, you're taking on a guy with power in Kai Kara-France who trains at CKB. And by the way, despite being 4 inches shorter than Cody Garbrandt, has a 4-inch reach advantage. Kai Kara-France's arms are deceptively long for his size. Deceptively long. And I feel like he gets a bit of a bad rap because he lost that fight to Brandon Royval. But let's not forget, he cracked Royval on the chin, got a little bit over-aggressive and got hit with that knee square in the face that somewhat could have been illegal. But either way, they continued. Brandon Royval got the guillotine in the 2nd round as well. But that was a great fight while it lasted. Kai Kara-France was looking good. He, of course, lost a fight to Brandon Moreno. But again, Moreno's the champ. And Kai Kara-France won the 1st round against him, but lost the rounds as it went on because Moreno had superior cardio. I'm telling you, Kai Kara-France is an extremely underrated flyweight contender. Of course, he got out-grappled and controlled by Rodrigo Bontorin, but Rodrigo Bontorin is a savage on the ground and in jiu-jitsu. And Kai Kara-France stayed patient, escaped bad positions, fought chokes, worked his way back out of things, got back up to his feet, and whenever he got back up to his feet, he annihilated Rodrigo Bontorin on the feet. Big right hand, big uppercut, down goes Rodrigo Bontorin, walk-off KO. I feel like he's going to catch Garbrandt here in some kind of exchange, and I can smell it a mile away. I can smell it so clearly. He beat Tyson Nam, who's also ranked in the flyweight division. Clear win over Mark De La Rosa as well. Had a close fight with Raulian Paiva, who's now in the bantamweight division. It doesn't look too good here either. But I do believe that Raulian Paiva in the flyweight division, dude, Garbrandt's not that technical. He wings up a lot, and I think at flyweight you can't get away with that because they're so quick. And I think this is going to be a case of like Figueiredo Moreno 2. I think in the first fight between Moreno and Figueiredo, Moreno was fearful of Figueiredo's power. You could see it in the fight. He was very intimidated by Figueiredo's presence, and it made him fight very defensive in the early parts of those fights. In the later part of those, in that fight, he came back, landed some good shots, had some moments of his own. But in the rematch, when he realized that the power wasn't that terrifying, and the big loading up shots weren't that effective on him in the first place, he just decided to beat Figueiredo to the punch and jab him square in his fucking face while he's loading up these haymakers. And down goes Figueiredo in the 1st round. Speed kills, flyweights kill, and I think Kai Kara-France is going to lights out Garbrandt in the 1st round. I can see both of them going out there. Of course, it's a fight. They're going to go out there. Either way, I can see Cody Garbrandt pushing the pace early, going for some takedowns maybe. Kai Kara-France defending them, getting back up to his feet. It's very interesting. Garbrandt lands a leg kick. Kara-France lands a leg kick. They both land shots back and forth. Maybe Garbrandt rocks Kara-France at one moment and points at him. Then they keep going back to their work. They're good. Kara-France recovers well. Another leg kick from both of them. Garbrandt shoots again. Kara-France defends. They get back up. Garbrandt gets a takedown. Kara-France is working his way back up to his feet, and Garbrandt lands those flurry of punches that he usually does after he gets a takedown to try and get some extra damage on his opponent. And then Kara-France is back up. They're on the feet. They're on the feet. I think that Kai Kara-France is going to crack Garbrandt on the jaw, and Garbrandt is going to start swinging back, hurt Kai Kara-France. Kara-France is going to go wild with him in the corner. Both guys landing big shots. Kara-France is going to have a better chin, and I think he's going to be more accurate, more effective, and quicker with his shots to the target in those close-range exchanges, and I think he's going to crack Cody Garbrandt on the chin, push him backwards against the cage. They're both going at it like crazy, both swinging shots back and forth. Very Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose-esque. Garbrandt's going to load up again against the cage, and then Kai Kara-France is going to land a right hand square on his jaw, put him out, and finish him off in the 1st round. I'm calling a big upset here for Kai Kara-France. I get that Garbrandt's big, but he's got a reach disadvantage, and I just think the flyweights are so good. I've always thought the flyweights were really good, but now I'm seeing it more than ever. When you watch these guys fight, there is... Just do me a favour, okay? Watch Kai Kara-France versus Brandon Moreno, and then go and watch Cody Garbrandt versus Rob Font, okay? Moreno and Font have pretty similar styles. I don't think Font throws as many head kicks and wild kicks as much as Moreno does, but they throw very similar boxing combinations, and they do a lot of the same things. Look at Kara-France fights, and look at Cody Garbrandt fights. Kara-France is night and day way more technical. And one thing I'm starting to do with my MMA predictions it's starting to just side with technicality when it's a close fight and one guy's an underdog that maybe shouldn't be. And there's all these ulterior factors where you don't know how good Garbrandt's chin's going to be. He's draining himself down to flyweight. Sometimes that backfires and he doesn't look good on the weight cut. I'd like to see how he looks at the press conference. Maybe that would give me more confidence in my pick here of Kai Kara-France. But if I don't know what's going to go down, if I don't know how he's going to deal with a weight cut, if I don't know how big he's going to be in a cage and how good he's going to be in a cage after his weight cut as well, then I'm going to go with technicality. And Kai Kara-France is way better on the feet. He's a way better striker. He trains with CKB. And CKB, as a gym, is a master of finding weaknesses in people's game. Garbrandt is filled with weaknesses. I sound like Kevin Lee of the Predictors right now, but Garbrandt has so many openings, and you know that Eugene Bareman is looking at those on tape and figuring out ways to land. And in the flyweight division, it's too quick, and I think he's going to get clipped on the chin. Now, I do hope that Cody Garbrandt wins this one, and I really do hope that he wins this one as well, but I don't think he can keep Kai Kara-France on the ground. I don't think he can push a great pace in the flyweight division when they're both taking damage. I don't think he's going to carry the power down with him because he's going to be draining himself to depletion in the flyweight division. Let's be honest. Font showed a bit of chinniness against Jose Aldo, and Garbrandt was cracking Rob Font with huge shots, and Font wasn't really reacting all that much whatsoever, so maybe Garbrandt's power isn't as great as we think, because he hasn't had a KO in a while since the Assunção fight, and before that, his big blows haven't really worked on his opponents, and I just think that the flyweights, they move too much, he's going to cover too much ground, and he's going to confuse Garbrandt and show him technique that he hasn't seen in a while, and I think he's going to get put away, but I hope Garbrandt wins. That's my point. I want him to win. I want him to get this victory against Kai Kara-France. I want him to add some new life into the flyweight division. And I want him to make flyweight great again, or great in the fucking first place, because it's been shit for a while until now. So yeah, make the fight happen. Looking forward to it this weekend. I'd love to see how Garbrandt looks on the scales. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.